Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today here at Larkin Street. Very much appreciate you turning out. As you know, homelessness is a crisis in San Francisco. It's a crisis up and down the state of California. Where we're seeing it, unfortunately, more and more is with homeless youth. Youth who are on the street in our city, in our state, through really no fault of their own. We're seeing, especially for many of Larkin Street's clients, people, young people who are escaping challenging households, really looking for places to go, and unfortunately they find that the streets were a better option than their own home. And so that's some of the challenges that we're facing here in San Francisco, but really also up and down the state of California. We have some troubling stats where 1 in 8 Americans lives in California, but 1 in 3 homeless youth live in our state. And 1 in 5 individuals experiencing homelessness in San Francisco is under the age of 25. And so what we're really seeing is this multi-pronged approach that we have to have. We can't just treat this population as if we would treat adults. Young people are different, their issues are different, the reason they're on the streets are for different reasons. That's why it's so great here to announce this $2.5 million grant for Larkin Street. We were able to appropriate $10 million of one-time resources into the Homeless Youth Emergency Services and Housing Program, and identified 4 counties in the state where we could get money to, $2.5 million in each of those counties. So there was money appropriated to Santa Clara County, San Diego County, LA County, specifically targeted to homeless youth. And we didn't want to overly delineate where the money was going, so it could go to rapid rehousing, it could go to supportive housing, could go to shelters. We really wanted the agencies in those particular areas to figure out what the most pressing need was. And we're honored that in San Francisco here, Larkin Street was the recipient for $2.5 million for that grant. Their work is absolutely amazing. 75% of their clients actually end up exiting and end up in a home. So their track record of success and their work is unbelievable and frankly phenomenal. We're just so honored to have them as one of our major agencies here in San Francisco. So with that, I wanted to introduce our incredible mayor, who's just been really fighting for this issue when he was a supervisor. He continues to fight for this issue during his tenure as mayor. It's Mayor Mark Farrell.
So thank you, Phil, and good morning, everyone. It is great to be here along with Assemblymember Ting and with Jeff Kazitsky and Sherilyn Adams and everyone here at Larkin Street. This is a great morning for the city of San Francisco. You know, homelessness, as Assemblymember Ting mentioned, is one of the most intractable issues here in San Francisco. It's been an issue that all of us inside of City Hall have worked on. I have prioritized during my time in office. And it is a challenging problem. It's not going to get solved overnight. There is no silver bullet answer. But mornings like today, we can actually say we are making progress on the issue. We are truly making a difference in people's lives here in the city of San Francisco, and to me, that's what it is all about. You know, Larkin Street Youth, I'm going to take a second to sing their praises and Sherilyn's praises. Since they were founded, they've served over 75,000 youth and transitional age youth in the city of San Francisco. And that is no small number. That speaks to an organization that has had a significant impact on the lives here in San Francisco, of our homeless population, of our vulnerable population, of our youth here in our city. Larkin Street does so much in terms of housing and programming. Sherilyn and I were first introduced to each other years ago, talking about a project inside of District 2 that Sherilyn, it is because of her efforts and the efforts of a few others that program has been an incredible success inside of District 2, and incredibly proud to partner with Sherilyn Adams. And her leadership is truly what is making Larkin Street a force here in the city of San Francisco. So Sherilyn, honored to be here with you today. You know, we want our youth in San Francisco to be chasing down their dreams and aspirations, not thinking about where their next meal is coming from. That has to be our mindset in San Francisco. That has to be the reason behind all of our efforts and making sure the next generation of San Francisco kids has a much brighter future than we all had growing up here in our city. I'm going to, in a minute, you're going to hear from Anubis, who's a Larkin Street Youth client here. But I just want to highlight real quick and what an amazingly humble person he is. But 16 years old, previously homeless, and I was reading about him beforehand, sleeping in cars and his friends' couches, and now he's here at Larkin Street, and he has an internship, he's enrolled in classes, he has housing. This is a success story in the city of San Francisco that we need to celebrate. We need to be there for a long time to come and partner together. This is just the beginning of a journey together. But this is the stories that we are making. These are the successes that we are having on our street, and we need to take them one by one in the city of San Francisco. So it's an honor to be here today. You know, as Assemblymember Ting mentioned, you know, this $2.5 million of funding is a huge deal for San Francisco, but it would not be possible without Assemblymember Ting. And Phil, I just want to say thank you on the city's behalf for all of your efforts. You know, it is amazing to have Assemblymember Ting up in Sacramento representing San Francisco and quite frankly fighting for San Francisco. What he didn't mention was something we highlighted about a month ago, that he secured $10 million for navigation centers here in San Francisco. Up at the state level. This is advocacy and this is representation that we have not seen in a long, long time. That is really coming to bear on the streets of San Francisco, to the people of San Francisco, to our everyday residents, and it's something that needs to be celebrated and honored. So Phil, thank you for all of your efforts. It is an incredible job that you are doing on behalf of the residents of San Francisco and Sacramento. So I am pumped to be here today. These are great stories that we can tell in San Francisco. Again, we have a long road to go in terms of our homeless situation, but every day when we have stories like this to highlight, when we have things like this to celebrate, it keeps us fighting every single day. And let's not forget, we take this one individual at a time. So thank you all for being here today. It's an honor to join everyone behind me. And I would like to introduce someone who is leading the fight on homelessness on behalf of the city and county of San Francisco. Someone who's done just an incredible job in a short time already, and that is our director of our homeless and supportive housing department, Jeff Kazitsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Assemblymember Ting, in addition to, as the mayor mentioned, helping us bring this money to San Francisco and the homeless youth in San Francisco. Assemblyman Ting and his staff have been working very hard with me and members of my staff in order to address homelessness here in San Francisco on a number of different fronts. And we really appreciate your leadership and all the work that you and your staff do. And of course, thank you to Larkin. Sherilyn and I have worked together for, about 16 years now, including the development of the Edward II's permanent supportive housing for homeless youth that has built in partnership with CHP and with Larkin in the city and county of San Francisco. And all of this work makes a difference. I know sometimes it's hard to look around our streets and think that things are actually getting better, but things are actually getting better. During the past few years, we've seen a nearly 15% reduction in youth homelessness in San Francisco. We've seen reductions in veterans homelessness and family homelessness, and while there's a long way to go, we are starting to see some pretty significant successes, and events like today help memorialize the efforts that we need to be taking on behalf of people who are living on our streets and experiencing homelessness. And I just want to close out by reminding everybody, if we are actually going to solve homelessness, not just in San Francisco, but in this state and in this country, it needs to start with young people. We can't be, if we ever want to solve the problem, we can't have young people, whether they're with their families or on their own, become the new chronic homeless population. We need to help them now while they can still have an opportunity to become their best selves. And thanks to people like Assemblymember Ting and Mayor Farrell and Sherilyn Adams and everyone at Larkin and everyone at the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing, we're making big steps to help young people who are on the streets today get into housing, find employment, and move on with the rest of their lives. Thank you all very much for being here today, and it's my honor and pleasure to introduce my colleague and friend, Sherilyn Adams, Director of Larkin Street.
Thank you, everybody. It is really great to be here on this beautiful morning and to celebrate this incredible investment in young people in San Francisco, especially flanked by three folks, and four actually with Anubis, who have been remarkable leaders and really have brought incredible resources to the city. And now with this investment from Assemblyman Ting's help into the state, or to San Francisco from the state. I think what's really important is that before this investment, there was $1 million a year for the past 25 years that the state has invested directly in young people who are experiencing homelessness. That's with the state having a huge number of young people experiencing homelessness. We have, unfortunately, in the state of California, the highest number of young people between the ages of 13 and 25 experiencing homelessness. So this investment in this community and in Santa Clara and LA and San Diego will go a long way towards helping to alleviate the number of young people who are unsheltered, who don't have access to housing and supportive services across the state or in those four communities. And we hope it's just the beginning of efforts across the state. SB 918 is going to create, hopefully, an Office of Homeless Youth, and funding to continue to support this would not have happened. That SB 918 wouldn't have happened without Phil starting this process of really investing in young people in California. Locally, we will use these dollars to be able to expand our services in our engagement center, open the center for more hours, expand case management, access to emergency housing, behavioral health supports for young people across the city. We would not have been able to open these hours without this funding, and we hope to use it to continue to leverage additional support to build out education and employment programs, to continue to expand housing. As Jeff said, we've made great progress in the city on addressing young people experiencing homelessness and reducing the numbers, but still 1,300 young people on any given night lie their heads on the sidewalk here in the city or in a shelter, and that's not acceptable. So we will continue to work to leverage additional funding. We hope that you will all support Housing for All in June so that we can bring additional resources across the city to address homelessness. It is my now distinct pleasure to introduce somebody who I have had the great chance to work with over the past year. He is a leader. He teaches me things every day, and he has been both a role model for other young people and been active in setting policy and helping to inform policy on behalf of young people here in the city, as well as working directly with young people here at Larkin Street. So Anubis, please come up.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here with you today. My name is Anubis Doherty, and I am from San Francisco. I have 2 generations here on my dad's side and 3 on my mother's side. My mother was homeless when she was pregnant with me. She has cerebral palsy and is unable to work. My brother and I lived with her mostly. We'd find a place, get evicted when we couldn't pay rent, and then we would couch surf. From the time I was 10 or 11, my mom expected us to be her caretakers. Everything from cooking and doing the chores to cleaning her up after she went to the bathroom. We got in shouting matches a lot, and when I was around 15 or 16, I couldn't do it anymore. I stopped going to school and left home. I never really had a plan. I traveled up and down the West Coast and through the Southwest, but something kept pulling me back to the city. I lived on the sidewalk in the Haight and the Castro, and one day a friend told me that there was a group called Larkin Street in Panhandle Park giving out food, so I went over and ate. I found out they had a shelter too, but I did not want to go. It's hard to explain, but I preferred sleeping outside to staying in a shelter. And so I lived on the streets for 6 years on and off until I couldn't go on. I was tired and I was done. When I saw Camilla, an outreach worker from Larkin Street, around the end of 2016, I was more receptive. She said, "Are you interested in a new program we have called Pathways?" "Yeah, sure," I said. Larkin Street helped me find an apartment and subsidize my rent. I've been on my own for so long, I didn't want to go anywhere with a lot of oversight. we found a place for me at the Francis Hotel. From there, the change has been radical. Larkin Street helped me get my GED, and I joined their Youth Advisory Board and Advocacy and Leadership Program. From there, I've done work with the city and state to advocate for youth homelessness programs. Today, I still live in my own place through the Pathways program. I'm taking classes at City College, and in January, I started an internship as an outreach worker for Larkin Street on the same team that helped me get off the streets. It's surreal, and so is standing here, speaking at a press conference with the mayor of San Francisco and a state assembly member, here in the hate, where I laid my head on the very concrete you are standing on right now. Until I was ready for more, Larkin Street gave me food, a place to sit for a few hours, do my laundry, and take a shower. Now I have this organization to thank for my new life. Their compassion has deepened my trust. Without Larkin Street, I would still be homeless. I could be dead. Thank you for being here, for listening to me, and for supporting this important new funding for young people like me. I know you are sincere in your desire to support homeless youth and make this city, my hometown, a better place. I am truly grateful.
Thank you, Anubis, for telling your stories. And really, Anubis, as the mayor mentioned, is just one of several thousands of stories that Larkin Street has really helped and benefited from, and really ensured that we're trying to attack the problem at really its apex, which is really around homeless youth. As Jeff mentioned, if we can't solve the youth problem, then we're not going to make any progress on the homeless issue at all. So again, thank you so much for being here today. I don't know if there's any questions, but happy to answer any, as well as I'm sure people will be happy to stay after to take individual questions. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it.